listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. You can text the show on 81215, follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio, or email the show via the Absolute Radio website.
Lovely to have you back, Big Daddy. I miss you.
Thank you so much.
Welcome back.
Thank you. It's only away a week.
Yeah.
Always feels a long time to me.
Oh.
Did you have a nice time?
What did I do?
We've all gone very politely with each other.
I
Start.
I went to Disneyland Paris.
You actually went? Because, you know, there was a little...
I've heard there was talk.
There was talk that you might be about to be appointed as a new Doctor Who assistant.
Yes,
when you say there was talk, it was the most disappointing moment of my entire life. And I've had some, trust me.
What a privilege.
Yeah.
We got very excited, didn't we, Al?
Yeah. And it was partly your own fault, you know, because there was a point the week before where Daisy had said, "Oh, you're not in next week because you're going on holiday." And you went, "Am I?" Like, really unbelievable.
We should say for
that's
anyone...
old age. Rather than crack jobs in the BBC, I find the two don't go together.
Oh,
For anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, they announced a new Doctor Who assistant, and we worked ourselves up into a frenzy, and we decided it was Frank. And we based this on the fact that you'd had your teeth whitened.
Yeah, it all makes sense. They look a bit more 21st century. Although I could have been a companion from medieval times that he'd picked
Which
up.
is ironic, because in my memory, people in Doctor Who are known for their quite yellowy 70s teeth.
Well, William Hartnell's teeth were, they were disgusting. They were really awful.
That would have been a lovely gig for you
By
back
the way,
then.
speaking of the teeth thing, when would you say the bleaching of teeth began as a practice? It's pretty recent, isn't it?
No, I would say people in the 40s and 50s would have done it.
In the 1940s?
I would say.
My guess is the last 10 years, but I'll bet there is some history in there.
Well,
Why?
I'll tell you why I question this. Well, I don't know what year it was made, but I was watching Shrek the other night. And the donkey says...
So was that after you'd caught up with Broadchurch? Shrek!
I have seen Shrek before.
Okay.
And Donkey says to the dragon, "You've got lovely white teeth, do you bleach?" And I thought it hadn't even started in those days.
Right, yeah.
Bear in mind that, you know, Shrek is set in, I think, medieval England.
That's true.
In terms of things that aren't realistic, though, in Shrek,
Yeah, I suppose.
I think there's a lot of things which might come above that.
Yeah, but I just didn't know that even when Shrek was made, that people bleached their teeth.
Bleaching teeth jokes existed. Like, yeah, I know what you mean. I know what
Can
you're
I
saying.
say, yours are looking great, Frank. It's really paid off, that work.
I think they're reverting to the wild a bit. Do you not? I looked the other day and thought, you know, they're going... But this is how it happens. This is how Jimmy Carr happens. You
Right.
look in the mirror and think they're not super white. Maybe I'll do another 12 weeks of bleaching, and next thing you know, they're luminescent. But I just name him for example. It's not a witch hunt.
I feel a bit bad that we're on radio and we're discussing the shade of your teeth now. It's sort of feels like we're excluding the the listenership.
Oh, okay.
Oh, sorry, I don't...
I'll take a picture.
That'd be terrible.
Oh yeah, we could tweet Frank's teeth.
Terrible if that happened. Speaking of I was on a train last week to Glasgow, and these two women from the staff come up to me and said, "The girl who just served you, she's one of your readers."
Oh, excellent.
Oh, lovely.
Which is what we call the people who listen to this show if you're a newcomer. So she came over again, and it was very nice, and we chatted, and when the lunch come round, she gave me quite a lot more chocolate than everyone else.
Oh, wow.
Now, see, you can keep your awards. That's what I want.
That's real, isn't it?
I mean, that's fantastic.
Yeah, I mean...
I love that.
That's love that you can hold.
Yeah.
And eat.
And indeed eat.
You love free stuff.
So, yeah, it was really... And it was quite a long journey. It's like a 5-hour journey. So, and I had a pile of chocolate on the table, which I steadily picked up.
Just after bleaching his teeth.
Augustus Gloop.
Yeah, it's not helping with the teeth. I was watching the snooker last night because Kath wasn't in, so I was sitting on my own watching the snooker.
Depressing, Mark.
Really, no.
That's the most depressing evening.
To be honest, I just got really jealous.
Yeah, I love the snooker. And
Did you have your feet up on that coffee table with
did.
socks on?
I did,
Oh, I
and
can
and
see
can
it
I
now.
tell you, I had a big coin from Starbucks, a big chocolate coin. Oh,
Yeah, I love a Starbucks coin.
yeah. Well, for many years, it was the only coins they were actually handing over in this country.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a text in, Frank, from 839.
Oh yeah.
Tony and Sam on the way to Harley Street to fit air conditioning.
That's what.
Can't wait till 3 for the bank holiday to start. So they're working on the aircon until 3.
That'll be the flatulence clinic. Yeah, myself. I mean, it's unhealthy.
Enjoy Harley Street and say hello to my friends.
Have you got friends in Harley Street?
Have I got friends in Harley
It's
Street?
great. I like that though, because often when in the early days of this show, Daisy, the producer, used to try and force
here
me
we
to say
go.
to people, "Where are you
didn't.
listening to the show?"
No,
You know, like a proper
She did.
DJ.
I think what happened
And
there was...
people also,
I
when I'm
wouldn't have
sitting at
thought-
home in a pile of vomit, I think we had like 12, 15 of those.
I think she probably said it once when there
No,
was a
she-
20-minute
she-
anecdote
she
about
pressed
someone
it.
in Doctor Who.
She pressed it every week. But that's a great one. On my way
Yeah.
to Harley Street to fit air conditioning.
I'll be honest, I think-
left it late in Harley Street for air
I
conditioning.
think one of the really early morning shows may have asked people
What they were doing.
why you up at this time.
Oh my god!
And that could be a
Oh my
response
gosh! It
to
wasn't
that.
even meant for us.
It wasn't meant for us, but
I
we're
was
having
a
it.
I'll eat the crumbs off their table.
We'll eat. Yeah, we'll have it. Not proud, are we?
No.
No,
I mean, it's that or Doctor Who anecdotes. Let's face it. Let's
All
take
right, all right. I wasn't here last week. You talked about Doctor Who for the whole show.
That's a good
Well,
point.
we got so excited.
On your
Well, if I
behalf.
thought you were going to be the assistant, that would have changed things totally.
Well, David Baddiel was telling me that his kids, they decided that there was going to be, Peter Capaldi was leaving, there was going to be a young female Doctor Who. And I was going to be the old man assistant to her.
That would work.
Oh.
Yeah. Like a bit Mr. Miyagi. Is that
Yes.
his name?
Miyagi
Yes.
Yeah.
from the Karate Kid.
Yeah, well, you'd know that, of course, Mr. Martial Arts.
Yeah.
Anyway.
The level of disappointment I felt when they announced it was absolutely crushing.
Yeah, but you're making me feel like I've let you down in some way.
Well,
Al, what would you say?
I would have
Yeah,
loved
a
it.
bit.
Anyway,
Did they approach you?
what do you think? Yeah, they approached me and I said, no, I'm busy, actually.
doing the radio show.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I think they've missed the trick.
Yes. Well, can I tell you, it's tadpole season.
Is it?
Yeah. And I took my son out with a net. Do you know a net?
No, she sounds
Lovely.
nice though.
With a net to go scooping tadpoles.
Oh, lovely. Where'd you go for that then, Frank? On the heath?
I went to the Peace Garden in my road.
Oh, you spent a lot of years there, from what I've heard.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, there's a Peace Garden where there are tinkling chimes and things.
No.
Those. You know where a tinkling chime is?
Yeah, I didn't know that
They got
that was
those
a thing in
and
gardens.
people, tie prayers to trees. It's lovely. Anyway, I went in there, and me and my son Buzz, we were, who's nearly 4, we were going at it with this fishing rod, not getting anything other than dirt and stuff. And then I pulled out this. Well, it was a frog. It certainly had been a frog. It had burst. It had burst.
Oh.
And it was in what looked a bit like frog spawn, but also looked a bit like an elaborate wedding gown. Was splitting out the side. It was the scariest thing.
Oh.
Honestly,
How
it
did
was.
you explain this to Buzz?
Well, I tell you, I pulled it out in the net. I was horrified. It smelled terrible. It honestly looked like a monster. Buzz was so astonished, he just stepped into the pond. He just stepped straight into the pond. He hadn't got Wellingtons on or anything. He got soaked and burst into tears.
Oh,
man.
how we laughed.
But
Frank, that sounds extraordinary, the
it's
frog.
really... I mean, it's horrible.
Well, I don't know. I've always had an affection for the amphibian community.
I have, but I've never seen one. I tried to take a picture of it, but it was a bit like... the Native Americans think if you take their photo, you take their soul away.
Yeah.
it's got an element of that. The picture's almost like the thing's refusing to be photographed. I'll give it to post if anyone knows what's happening.
Look.
But it's like frog spawn has become a part frog, half man, half frog spawn. Do you remember that band?
Love their early stuff.
Yeah, so I'll put a photo up, but it's I don't want to be arrested in the missing frog bride case, if that's a big thing. But I've never been so frightened, honestly. Well, twice. Never been so frightened with my clothes on. Certainly.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We put the frog up online.
If it is a frog, it could be an alien.
Well,
Well,
there's some theories out, aren't there?
There are various theories, and actually not a theory, but I would say a wagging finger at you, Frank. Actually,
Really?
yeah. 354 has said, Frank, if you're horrified at the sight of a deformed frog, how can you ever hope to be a Doctor Who assistant? You'd be the first sidekick to never leave the TARDIS. Does the TARDIS have a sofa to hide behind? That is a good point.
354.
I never hid behind the sofa. I know that's the tradition for Doctor Who, but our sofa was flush with the wall. So I'd have had to have gone
And in fairness to you,
round the back entry.
That's the kind of feng shui that can encourage bravery in a young man. There you go.
Exactly.
And in fairness to Frank, he hadn't professed any ambition to be the Doctor Who assistant. It was that we had decided this was the thing that was definitely happening.
But obviously I would like to be the Doctor Who
Yeah, it's not going to happen, Frank.
Right.
You tried that method before, and it got you a part in it.
No, I know.
You got Perkins. Be happy.
I know, I'm happy.
Okay.
Yeah, don't milk
But you're right, as a test, if it was a test, maybe that I was still in the frame until the frog thing. They planted that in the
hidden cameras.
I tell you, it's a terrifying. I wonder now, having seen the picture where it's still slightly obscured by water, if I should not get a dinner plate underneath it and hoist
Why?
it out so you can see it's full. It's absolutely terrifying.
Don't get involved in relationships like that. 776 has
Jan.
a theory about this.
Yeah.
I think I should read it as the lady.
Yeah, if you like.
Hi, Frank. It probably was a female frog that had been drowned while several males tried to mate with her. Keep it light.
Yeah.
776. It's called a plexus.
A plexus beginning with an A?
Yes, that's from Jan.
Well, I've never heard of that before.
No.
Can they drown a frog?
Well, you've
It
seen
seems
the
a
evidence.
design flaw in the animal, doesn't it?
It is. Well, don't live down there if you can drown.
I mean, that's your manner.
See, that's, again, worried me, because when I lived with David Baddiel and his cat used to bring frogs into the house, still alive, and torture them in the night, and they go, "Eee!" frogs when they're distressed.
Do they?
So I just picked one up and put it down the toilet, because I thought...
You didn't.
Well, I thought that would just swim to safety now.
It's natural
It's
home.
such a 1970s Birmingham approach.
Well,
to the
I
animal
honestly
kingdom.
thought I was doing it a good time. I had rescued it from being tortured by a cat. Don't forget. Let's get the whole story.
Yeah.
Out
You
the
don't think
frying
it's
pan
now
into
come
the
back?
toilet.
It's re-emerged in the Peace Garden, mutated by human excrement into a frog bride.
Enjoy your breakfasts.
Yeah,
listeners.
exactly.
Can I just say, I love that grudge-bearing frog. It's a great revenge story. It's
It
come back
is.
to haunt you.
The fact that it's come back in a sort of Elvis Presley cloak. That's honestly, it was a scary thing. I feel bad now I haven't done anything bad though.
No.
Honestly, it's so hard being a white middle-aged man in modern Britain. It's
it?
constant guilt trip, constantly asking myself if
Don't
I've done
see
a bad
the hard
thing.
bit there.
Especially if you're rich.
Skinner, Dean, and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Did other people use the word spawny to mean lucky? Is that a thing where I grew up
I've
and
never heard that.
Oh, really? That was a really...
Jammy, we might say.
Oh, yeah, in the same way as that, we would have said, you spawny get at school if somebody had something really good. Like, I just... Because of the frog spawn conversation, it made me wonder.
What was that school dinner dessert that everybody called frog spawn?
Tapioca
Tapioca
pudding.
was
it
it?
tapioca?
Yeah, I believe
yum.
so.
Ah, yes.
Just made me hungry, that.
Oh, by the way, BTW, as I would say on a text.
Ooh, IRL. IRL's bad, isn't it?
What's IRL?
If you're over 40, you can't use IRL. It's embarrassing. In real life.
Oh.
I can't wait to meet IRL.
I don't think I can. I don't have many dealings with IRL. For example, I started. Somebody for my birthday bought me a £250 voucher for a local art school.
Oh.
To pay for a course, so I started my course.
Wow.
That's nice, Frank, because you've got your art show, haven't you?
I've got my little art show.
Yeah.
Little art show.
Yeah, so I did something I don't think I've done since I was 14. I picked up a piece of charcoal. I didn't know people still used it. I mean, the charcoal I was using was probably a healthy tree when I was at school.
Yeah.
You see, look, that's a point. Charcoal, when you use charcoal to draw, is that trees that have been petrified over time, or have they just burnt trees? Do they just make it happen?
I don't know. I only use it on the fire.
Do you use what? Do you?
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. Isn't that what you put on it? I don't know much about charcoal. It's not my area.
Oh, sorry.
I can tell you about shoes.
Not your culture.
It's really not my culture, charcoal. I'm a strange person to ask that question to, let's be honest.
Well,
Yeah.
I'll tell you why I mentioned it, because I did... so I went to my first class, and I hadn't drawn properly since I was at school. I've had a couple of attempts to learn again, but they both died after 2 lessons.
Right.
But I thought, I've got a 12-week course here I've been bought, so I went along.
Ali always has to get his value for money, VFM.
Oh, yeah.
And I like that in him.
So I did some drawings with charcoal. And this is one lesson, my first lesson. I've already framed 2 of them.
Wow.
Have I gone a bit early?
Straight in at the, that's worth framing, I'm having that.
Yeah?
Straight in.
Yeah. I thought, no, I'm going to frame that.
This is like a story about baking, doing one amazing thing and then quitting.
Well, that's it, maybe I can't go back.
He's the opposite of the sort of tortured Franz Kafka, burn everything I ever wrote genius.
Yes.
He's like, frame it immediately, my first attempt.
My first class, though, 2 things framed. And I did take a photo of one of them to show you. And I thought, I really like it. Obviously, I've had it framed. But it's slightly undermined, the photo.
I cannot believe you.
I know. But I put it on the floor to photograph it so I didn't get any glare on the glass. And I've slightly undermined the art, but you can clearly see in the photo, I'm at home and I'm wearing those white tailing hotel slippers with black socks, which does undermine it. But I have taken a photo of one of my framed...
I'm enjoying your saved photos this week.
Yeah, we'll scroll through from the frog
spawn.
But no picture, no story thing that people say
Are you referring to photos or it didn't happen?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, okay.
So I thought I'd better
Pictures or it didn't happen. Do you not know that?
Pictures or it didn't happen. What are you guys talking about? No picture,
I'm
no
afraid
story.
that's what the modern world is like, that nobody believes anybody.
They say pictures or it didn't happen.
If you tell a story on social network about, like, for example...
My friend calls it social network.
Yeah, isn't that what it's called?
Social media.
Oh, yeah. If you tell a picture on... Tell a story, if you tell a story on the social media...
Yeah.
Yeah. People will say... Well, they just won't believe it unless you've got photographic evidence.
Sounded like Judge Pickles trying to explain what Twitter was
if
about.
this isn't an example of a secular, non-believing age... It's that moment. I hate that. It's like when cricketers used to go to the rope and they'd turn to the umpire and say whether the ball had gone for 4 or not. And now it has to be done with cameras because they don't trust them. What's happened to the world? What about a countdown? If you say I've got the same word, you have to show it.
Yeah.
What you've written down to the other person. They do. They say, there it is.
They say, well, I arrived at that conclusion in the same way. And then they sort of vaguely wave the paper, but they never actually show. I'd like it if someone said, OK, yeah, we'll have a look.
Yeah, well, see, you've taken the opposite tack. I'm trying to find more trust. You're saying that a man should get an abacus out to check the goddamn thing.
Show
yes,
us your
I've said it.
charcoals, Frank.
Pardon?
Show us your charcoals.
I will in a minute, but, you know, we're on commercial radio. We have certain obligations to sell.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
576 got in touch about your charcoal. Was it once a tree? Was it something?
Well, I wasn't sure. I know it was a tree, but I wasn't sure whether trees are, you know, they're under lots of ground and so they turn to charcoal in a sort of petrifying way, or if people just get trees and set fire to them and then do drawing with it.
Right.
576 rather has gone beyond the wagging finger tone that somebody took with you earlier and said, "Hi Frank, Alan and Emily, read charcoal, they burn at you numpty, petrified trees are stone, doy."
Okay.
I
I like that it starts with a hi
yeah.
and then goes there.
It gets a bit worse from there, granted.
Yeah, it's a bit like being...
I like to think numpty was the ramp into the anger.
I think it's
At the
a
end
term
of
of
it.
endearment.
Oh, was it?
I think
Okay.
numpty's all right.
And also they've said cheers 576, so they know the lingo of the show. I think
it's
they're
fine.
involved.
Okay.
It's fine, I'm not upset with numpty.
However, are petrified trees stone?
Well, petrification...
Can I just say, is that one of our other very commercial radio texts in?
No,
Yeah.
but, you know, do you ever used to get those trilobites at school? Is that what they were called? Those fossils? They'd turned to stone from being... that's what diamonds are, isn't it?
Diamonds are forever.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well, this conversation's getting more interesting now.
I think diamonds are stones under tremendous pressure. That's what I think.
Right.
Okay.
Oh, God. What's happened to this show? So...
What else?
I'll tell you what happened, or what didn't happen in Disneyland. This is
Yeah.
a historic moment. It's the first holiday... We went for 4 nights to Disneyland. It was great. I'd recommend it to anyone. Disneyland Paris.
Anyone?
Late review, Al.
Anyone? What,
Yeah.
stag doos?
They got this like a mouse that lives there with the big black ears. Amazing. No, it was great.
Just to clarify, you'd recommend it to anyone?
Hen do's go there.
If Leicester City win, that's where you'd recommend it to them?
Definitely.
Okay.
That's a Mickey Mouse team if ever I heard of one. Get out, Bernard. No, Wyatt. Oh, I'm dead. Sorry, everyone. Anyway, so me and Kath went away, and it's the first... We've been on holiday, I would say, 60 times in our... we've been together 15 years. With breaks! and we didn't have an argument for the whole...
Isn't that lovely?
We didn't have an argument. I mean,
What?
you've
Now, why
no
was that?
idea.
Separate accommodation?
Why do you think that was?
I think it was partly because our son was slightly monstrous at times.
Oh.
Divide and conquer.
And I
Well,
think
you need
so.
a demonised insider in the group.
It was the way that Hitler brought together ultimately Stalin, Roosevelt, and Churchill by his terrible behaviour. So yeah,
That's what I do on this show.
if there's any any couples listening, all you need is a common enemy. Don't get me wrong, I love our child very much, but he just had a bit of...
Was he behaving like talent?
he was a bit behaving like talent, which is a slight worry that he's not learning from me.
Oh, he's learning from you.
Yeah, exactly. That is what worries me.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
We've had a tweet from Lorna. She says Kath's going to love that above the fireplace. I won't tell you what she's referring to.
Yeah.
No, she says hashtag wish I could draw too. So I think that's a compliment.
It sounds like a compliment from a distance.
Oh,
I don't know.
The voice of negativity.
I wasn't. No, I think she might be being negative, but isn't she saying?
I
she
wish
wishes-
I could draw too. Like
you wish you could draw.
Well, let's
you
give
know
her that.
what? I think we're overanalyzing
Yes,
this somewhat.
you're right.
You think?
So look, let me tell you, I want to run something by you.
Yeah.
Emily came visiting the other night.
Oh, yes, it was lovely. I brought my friend John. We had a nice day.
Sounds nice.
Oh, no, John, no, John. So, they came visiting, and it was, we sat and there was, I think we made tea.
Yes.
And all that. It was all... Me and Kath went for many years. We never had guests of any kind, really. And then, since we've had a child, we've tried to open our lives a little bit.
Yes.
And I thought it all went very well. It's a very enjoyable evening.
It was great.
Yeah. And then I thought I committed a social faux pas.
Okay.
And I don't know if Emily picked up on it or not.
I'll tell you.
And here's the thing. When I saw them out,
You did.
and when I said goodbye and closed the door, I became aware of the fact that I was putting the bolt on while they were still in earshot. Now, does that feel like a statement? I've got him out. I'm taking no risks.
Scuttle one.
Yeah, I didn't mean anything. Did you hear it?
No, I didn't.
Oh, you got away with that.
That is a bit Nicholas Nickleby. I don't like that.
No, I felt when I did it, I thought I should have let him get to the end of the path.
Can I tell you what you do, which I like? Everything.
Can you save it till after this? Because we're going to further news. Because that's something I want to... That's my idea of a teaser. A woman saying, you know what you do that I like?
You're listening to the Frank Skinner podcast from Absolute Radio. Want your Frank fix a little sooner? Listen live every Saturday from 8 a.m. on Absolute Radio. Across the UK on digital radio, mobile apps, and in London and the South East on 105.8 FM.
Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio. Email the show via the Absolute Radio Webby.
Okay.
Now, we left on a
cliffhanger.
Yeah, I was going to say coat hanger. Thank God
No, we didn't leave on a
to my
coat.
eye.
What was I going to tell you?
You were going to tell me what you really liked about me.
I've forgotten.
Oh,
I genuinely can't remember what I liked about you. So you're going to have...
You're not the first woman to tell me that.
It was,
I will remember.
It was as a house visitor.
Yeah, but I can't remember what it was he did. I honestly can't. Oh, he always offers me tea. He gets angry about the coasters, but that's the little imperfection with Frank.
You know, they're such a good band.
And also, that's the imperfection in the little Persian rug, Frank, your coaster thing.
Yes, well...
What, you think other than that he's perfect?
Pretty much.
That's amazing.
I'm going to...
I've never been to your house, so I wouldn't know what you're like.
Well, you're welcome
this
to
is
come.
So embarrassing.
But you live in,
I do live far away.
Oh, Manchester.
Thank you.
So much to answer for.
I remembered what I liked about you.
I knew we'd get there.
Was it my Morrissey impression?
About it.
No. It was the way you are very old-fashioned and you walk your guest to the door.
Isn't that the norm?
And then you bolt it.
And then I bolt it, yeah.
No, Frank's very insistent. I'd always let myself out.
Would you?
Yeah. Would you do you not think?
So independent.
Yeah, well, I am.
I always think people might be tempted to nick something on the way out.
Yeah.
Because we've spent...
some of your old Clark's shoes?
Well, you know, we spend so
all right,
much time,
thanks.
don't we, when we queue at things, and there's things there at the last minute before you get to the...
I like that your Clark's shoes are like Haribo's.
No, till I get me Clark. Dum, till I get me Clark. Do you remember that?
No. What is that?
Well, it's a song about Clark's shoes.
It's a song you've just made up.
No, it's from
When
the
We Get Me Clark.
Caribbean.
Oh, okay.
Am I right, Daisy? Daisy introduced me to it. It's a song about how brilliant Clark's shoes are.
It's the urban correspondent.
What is that? A bit. How does that go, Daisy? Remember?
No.
Don't. It's sort of I don't.
I think she might.
I felt that no was quite
Give me
emphatic.
little beer, slip me wind out me waist, up, down, top, right, and ba-da, till I get me Clark.
Are you drunk?
Is that okay, this? I'm just wondering.
It's weird.
Is that okay to do West Indian accent?
I think it's okay.
It's done with affection.
Now, what about Grayson Perry?
I don't think he's West Indian.
Well, I'll have a go. Is he Northern?
No, he's from Essex, isn't he?
You see, in the old days, you'd have said, what about Grayson Perry? I'd have said, I'll have a go. Well, hello, but you can't.
No, you can't.
Those days are gone.
Get yourself in loads of hot water.
I'm glad you can't. I'm glad it's gone.
He's
I don't miss
fallen
it.
out with Bear Grylls.
I don't think... Yeah, he's criticised. He's certainly criticised. I don't think they know each other personally. That they've fallen out like they're pals.
Oh, they're from different
Probably
worlds.
media pals.
Different parts of the zoo.
It'd be great if they hung out.
He's not going to be in the bear enclosure, is he?
When I first saw those photos of, I think it was in the Ivy restaurant, Graham Souness out dining out with Dale Winton. When two worlds collide like that, it's so brilliant.
Yeah.
I'd love just to see Grayson Perry and Bear Grylls.
I would.
At a, or maybe it's a grill.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah.
Just to make up the numbers, maybe a bit of a Razor Ruddock. I'd like that.
But Razor Ruddock and Bear Grylls.
Oh, they'd get on. Him and Grayson Perry wouldn't, yeah.
I imagine he could work on Razor Ruddock as a park ranger. just patrolling his...
It's what?
His body. His ample body. Yeah. I'm just going to, I don't know who he talks, Bear Grylls. I've never seen one of his shows. What's his accent?
Fantastically posh.
Is he?
He is very posh.
I'm just going to take a look at the armpits.
Yeah.
Be back in about 10 minutes. Okay. Ciao.
That's pretty close to the voice that you need for him,
I've never even seen one of his programs.
Real name, not Bear.
Is that right?
We'll come back to that.
Yeah, we will.
Okay.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So, Grayson Perry has got some beef with Bear.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And
we don't mean they're having a barbecue or a steak supper.
So, Bear's name isn't Bear?
No, it's Edward.
So where did Bear come from? Teddy Bear?
Well, no, it was a childhood nickname. But what I would say is, you've got to cast these things aside. I'm not called Poodle Dean anymore.
Was that your nickname?
Yeah.
Oh.
My best friend still calls me that.
Really? I haven't had one nickname. I was called Slim.
Slim?
Because I was...
Can I pay you for that nickname?
Yeah. Only if I can have Poodle.
His sister gave him the name.
I'm a bit let
week.
down that he's not really called Bear.
Yeah.
Oh, well.
Well, he's been called Bear since he was 1 year old.
1 week. 1 week.
Was it 1 week?
Yeah.
His sister called him Bear.
His sister called him Bear after a week.
What if he'd gone into the meditation business and become a yogi?
Yogi Bear.
Be Yogi Bear Grylls. That would have really undermined people who went to him for spiritual teaching.
Well, this is how posh he is. I looked on his Wikipedia and there's a button for ancestry. That is next level posh, isn't it? When people have got ancestry on their Wikipedia and then it's pages and pages back.
I think the parents...
He actually goes right back to... he goes right back to Winnie the Pooh. That's proper.
Really? That's fantastic.
That is real ancestry.
Well, I've never seen his work, but I know the kind of man he is. I mean, I'll be honest, you can be critical, but I wish I had him with me when I found that frog.
Yeah.
If it was a choice between him and Grayson Perry at my elbow when I found the frog.
Yeah.
Grayson flapping around in a kimono, we need Bear for these
Exactly. This is my problem with this little tiff. I'm going to call it a tiff.
Okay.
I like both of these men, and I think they both, in a way, represent manliness, because that's what Grayson Perry said, that the Bear Grylls sort of mode of macho manliness is actually useless in the modern world. That's what he said.
Well, that's. I know you'd be unhappy with that.
No, I like both of these guys.
You're the macho person I know.
I am not.
Macho.
You keep saying that, but I'm the least. I'm the least macho
to kill
person.
people with your bare hands. I know, when I say bare hands, I actually mean his bare hands, not his Edward hands.
Yeah. I've actually got
not his
Bear
Edward
Grylls
hands. Edward
think
Scissorhands would have been known as bare hands if he'd been brought in that family.
He would have.
Yeah.
I think Bear should stay as he is. He's climbed Mount Everest. That's not useless.
Look, I agree with Alan. I really like Grayson. Grayson Perry's pots are absolutely lovely. And brilliant in many ways.
Yes.
And I like his...
However, I don't agree. I like Grayson Perry, but I don't feel that I would want to watch... He suggested at one point, he said, I want to see Bear Grylls looking for an affordable state school for his child. I don't. That's not interesting television.
Wouldn't be
Bear is filling out an online form at gov.uk. No, thank you. I want to see him wrestle alligators. You do what you do, Grayson. Bear does what he does.
I'd like to watch Bear wrestle a devil dog.
Would you?
Yeah,
I'd like to watch Bear...
but just not in the jungle, in a council flat somewhere. Wrestle a devil dog. That'd be brilliant. That's what they mean. Make it a bit more urban.
Yeah. I'd just like to see him get a round in a rough pub. He's that posh, that might be beyond him.
I'll be quite honest, I'd quite like to watch Bear Grylls take a shower.
I'm pretty sure that's happened on some of his shows.
Just because I have a basic interest in the human form.
I'd join you.
Yeah.
Watch that together.
I'll make one in.
Fine.
Let's go.
Sounds like a dinner party.
I'll bring me charcoal.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
What about when Bear made a sleeping bag out of a sheep carcass?
Did he?
Yeah.
He slept in it?
It's not some old pot. He made an actual sleeping bag. Yeah, of course he slept in it. He's done all sorts. He's drunk urine of all sorts.
I know he slept in a dead crocodile.
Right.
Yeah.
And
haven't we all?
At least while the cameras were running, some of his naysayers would say then he climbs out of it and he goes to a motel round the corner. I'm just playing devil's advocate
here. It's one of
here.
Arge's sister.
It was
in the marathon.
watched by this bloke called Lacoste.
Oh yeah.
And he thought there was something in that.
Sounds good.
It's difficult, the manliness thing, isn't it? Because it can be a bit horrible.
It is ever so difficult.
Yeah, but I like a man who looks under my car bonnet.
Well, I can see the appeal of that.
Yeah. And gets the barbecue going with the charcoal.
You know, when I talked to Alun about the martial arts, I was saying I'd like to be able to beat people up. I'll tell you why, because I think I'd be a very discerning brutalist.
Yes.
I would only beat up people who I thought would genuinely benefit from it on a spiritual and intellectual behavioural level.
Can I give you a list?
But, you know, we've all seen people where...
I got a few.
There's people where you think, well, I can't imagine with this person them benefiting from anything than a real good hiding. Mm-hmm. And, of course, I'm not a man capable of dishing it out. It's very frustrating.
Yeah.
This is, of course, the great joy of weaponry.
Don't say that.
No, I think...
when you say weaponry, are you referring to the fact that your dad told you to put a little bit of salt in your pocket to throw at people?
Well, I've never done that, but yeah, he used to keep salt in his pocket for blinding purposes if he was approached in after dark.
Yeah.
You know, he was
sensible.
He came from a different age, my dad.
I read this article of Grayson versus Bear on the Daily Mail, and I did...
Grayson versus Bear.
I did make the mistake of looking at the comments, and I know we don't really talk about Daily Mail comments, but to the people that said that I think I know who would win in a fight, I think they might have missed the point that Grayson was making there.
Yeah, but who'd win in an art competition?
Yeah. Well, we don't know, do we?
Yeah, but I don't think I'll ever be in a situation in my life where I'll think, come on, we've got to win that art competition.
Well, I think I'm moving towards it headlong.
I just think I'm in Camp Bear at the moment. I'm Team Bear on this.
Okay.
Are you?
Well, I love Grayson Perry, but I just would like to defend the Bear because, not just because he's posh, well, that's obviously part of it, but... I feel that Grayson was saying, you know, men need to get more in touch with their emotions, and this is part of the problem, and they need to open up more and make themselves vulnerable, and then he dismissed him as useless. That's not very nice.
Well, I think you can have both. I think I've got a bit of Bear and a bit of Perry. Last night, for example, I was in on my own. I watched 3 hours of snooker, John Wayne tall in the saddle, but I still, when I stood up to get ready for bed, I noticed that I naturally stood in what the ballerinas call fourth position. So I think you don't have to be... I mean, they are... maybe they're the two extremes, I don't know, but I think...
All men occupy a point somewhere in between Grayson Perry and Bear Grylls, don't they?
On a good night. What a party that was.
But you know what? He hasn't made enough out of his name, Frank.
Grayson Perry?
No, Bear. There's so many documentaries we could commission off the strength of that Bear name.
Follow the Bear.
Oh!
Obviously.
Laid Bear, we'd watch that one.
Wonder if he's ever done any photo bombing and the person in the picture looked at it and went, oh, I've got a bear behind. You know, bear behind.
Oh, sorry, everyone. Well, I danced with my son yesterday morning. We danced to King of the Swingers.
Oh, yeah.
and intermittently he stopped and fired his toy automatic rifle into the ceiling between dancing. That, to me, it's like living with Mexican banditos.
Or Elvis.
Yeah, but that, to me, is what masculinity is all about. Musical theatre and firearms.
The Frank Skinner Show. Listen live every Saturday morning from 8 on Absolute Radio.
I received 2 letters this morning.
What was it?
I'm a bit confused by one because it says it's from Writers' Retreat in New Zealand, and then the letter suggests it's from Durham, the envelope.
Okay. Is it from the Bishop?
It's from...
I bet he's one of your friends.
It's from... I'll look into the producer for help, and I am getting 0!
No, she's wandering
It's from a guy called Miles, whose surname I'll tell you later.
Okay.
And he sent me... It looks like, if unless I'm reading this incorrectly, he has invented a ruler.
Oh.
He's called Miles Hudson. And it's a ruler, and he sent it to me, and it's got like a slit down the middle where you put the pencil instead of running it against the edge. Have you ever heard of such a thing?
Well, I might have to have an investigation.
What's that for, though? What does that achieve that a ruler doesn't? I'm not having a go at Miles.
It's a best fit line ruler. So, you know, sometimes when you draw against a ruler and you sort of go slightly off the edge.
Yeah.
Best fit line ruler. I bet that's a corporate awards, do you? Might get some work there.
Yeah, do you think so? Yeah. So, I think it might come in handy for my art.
Oh, yeah.
In fact, I might put one of my vases on a little table I can draw with a ruler.
Nice.
Anyway, thanks for that. I'm always... It's actually...
some kind of geometry tool or that he'd sent you.
Well, it is. You can draw a straight line with it. Inevitably, that makes it
rulers in fine art, though?
Oh, yeah, they still use rulers.
Oh, I don't think Gauguin used rulers. He used imagination.
David Hockney did. Take my word for it. And masking tape. They'll throw it all in now.
We're going to run through all the stuff that David Hockney used at his art.
No.
Charcoal.
Can that be our texting this morning? What materials did David Hockney use?
Yeah.
That's our texting.
We're carrying on until we've got everyone on the list.
Go for it.
I've got 39 on my list. I want them all to be. I also heard from a bloke called Dan who he tells me, I didn't know this, that it's National Stationery Week, and one of my great loves is stationery.
You love stationery.
And I got a little package, I don't mind who knows it, this morning, with pencils and pads. Honestly, I felt it was like Christmas when you're like 8. It was that kind of thing.
Start of the new term. I love it, Frank.
Oh, stationery. I've half a mind to go out and blow £2 on a protractor.
So glad you said that.
It's all about degrees, of course.
Very good.
I feel it's gone a bit flat.
Why?
And I'd like to end it.
You can't just say that.
I'd like to end it on
in the middle, we're all talking and you just give a review.
Well,
you started talking about the joy of a ruler and how much you love a pencil and a pen. I mean,
when I say the joy of... Someone who's now tuned in will think I'm talking about Hitler. The joy of a nice straight ruler. But no, I didn't. I'm talking about geometry, for God's sake.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I just said to Emily that we'll do this link and then I'll lend her my phone charger. I said, bear with. You know, like they do in offices.
Bear with. He does a survival show.
Yeah, he does the spin-off thing. Like
watch TV.
Yeah. I've had an audition this week. You know, sometimes I dabble in the world of acting, guys.
Well, just lately. He's
been in Coronation Street and all sorts.
Well, it's coming up. It's coming up. But
when's it on?
When is it on?
I think
we're such people in the street watching filming, aren't we?
I think it's June that I'm in Corrie. You know, it said Alan Cochrane.
Hold on a minute, I'll do one more. It's Terry Scott in Terry and June.
Oh, yeah.
Is it?
Yeah.
You know, it said Alan Cochrane joins Coronation Street in on the internet, and actually it was just, you know, one day of filming.
Still join them.
Well, exactly.
Very temporarily. Anyway, had an audition that...
Might be more if you're good, Al.
I don't want to overstate this. and I don't even know if I'll get the job in question.
Well, one never does, dear.
It doesn't matter to me, because it's about what it represents. This casting that I went up for, I think, was the first day of the rest of my life.
Whoa, this is exciting.
Oh, my word.
I auditioned for a role of a dad in a sitcom. I've never auditioned as a dad before. In fact, the last time we talked about me in a sitcom, it was when I did Boomers, and I played a son of one of the central characters. So I've gone for that. I've grown up in the mind of a casting director. Do you see what I'm talking?
But that happened some time ago. I mean, I don't think you're a son material. Really?
No, I was. Just this time last year, I was the son in Boomers, and now here I am. But, I mean, if I can get a role as a dad in a sitcom, I reckon I've got 20 years to milk that, don't you think? Because I really missed out on my 20s as being an actor.
Yes.
And now I think, ka-ching.
Yeah?
You're both looking like, this is not a story. This is big news to me.
I'm just surprised that you've been playing young children up until this point
I don't think I've ever done that. But,
okay.
But I think dad roles in sitcoms, like, people really milk those, don't they? They stay around.
Oh, you can be a sitcom dad for a long time if it works, definitely.
Oh, man, that'd be so much easier than stand-up.
Yeah.
It? I mean, that'd be really...
You're both getting into this acting thing.
Well, I wouldn't go... I'm
without a trace of bitterness in my voice. I'm just saying who was there first.
Ironically, I'm not offered dad roles anymore, even though I am one in the real... what is it? IRL. I am a dad IRL, but I look too old to be a dad in a sitcom.
Right.
Well, what sort of roles were you offered, Frank?
I was offered... who was that...
engineer on a TARDIS.
Who was that busty blonde model who married a man in his 90s?
Oh, yeah.
Paw she married, yeah, Anna Nicole Smith.
Yeah, what was he called? J. Howard Marshall. Yeah, that's who I'm playing in my next thing.
I got down to the last two for the boyfriend role in Miranda, but I'm not a boyfriend, I don't think, so...
You two, we can't just talk about parts we didn't get, because, frankly, I'll be here all morning.
No, you're quite right. But that's... so, when will you know?
I don't know. I might never know.
And is it going to be a high...
When it's on and you're not in it.
That's a good point, yeah, I hadn't thought about that.
Let's ask, so if you don't get it, in the unlikely event that you don't get it, who would you say they would pick?
Gary Barlow, that's what happened.
No, because he got the last one. Let's say a proper actor. Not some Mancunian chancer. Lovely as he is.
Craig Cash?
Idea. Yeah, maybe. I've no idea. But he's a good example, isn't he? He was in that for a good
chunk,
David? Craig David, yeah.
Me and Craig David are in the same casting bracket, definitely.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of another Craig. Any ideas?
Yes,
Craig Revel Horwood.
Craig Revel Horwood. If he gets it...
Yeah, there's definitely something wrong with the...
CRH?
Well, I was asked to do Hole in the Wall and turn it down, and they gave it to Anton de Beck. That means, in a list of people to offer, me and Anton de Beck are shoulder to shoulder. I'm proud of that, as long as we're not tangoing.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
So there's a recurring motif on this show, isn't there, of late reviews? I think it started when you gave your thoughts on a Beatles album, wasn't it, or something like that?
Oh, yes.
I don't know.
Anyway.
There was something to do with George Harrison, I recall.
I have ticked something off a list that I've been meaning to do for a long time. And worse than that, it's a thing that people have assumed that I've already done. You know, for years I've been telling people I've never seen the film Kes, and everyone thinks, of course you have. Like, I watched it this week.
See, that became a bit of a catchphrase of yours. I've never seen Kes.
I've never seen Kes.
I'm amazed that you actually now have done it and killed that off.
Well, I'm going to tell the truth. A guy at the martial arts club...
Richard Wilson suddenly believing it.
Yeah?
I'll tell you the truth. Quite a powerful grappler at the martial arts club that I go to lent it to me, and I felt so scared that I had to watch it.
Yeah, I can see that.
I don't want him choking me, because I haven't given him his DVD back, do I? So I've watched it.
It's like Duncan Norvell saying, actually, don't pursue me.
Oh, I loved it.
I don't want to run.
I don't know why people have been foisting that film on me for so many years. I mean, it's bleak. You know, an isolated, scruffy Yorkshire kid feels alone and sad. So far, so my childhood.
Yeah.
Why am I watching that? And it's not even, there's not even a happy ending. It's a sad film.
No, don't get spoilers.
Okay.
Oh, is it?
But there is that bit.
Spoilers on a film that's how old is it? 30, 40?
Well,
50 years
but
old?
there might be people now, such is your influence, there'll be young people thinking, I've never seen Kes, but if it's good enough for AC...
Yeah.
Oh, that's it.
The AC, as they call him.
They don't call him that.
They do call him that.
They don't. They call me the cockerel or Aladdin.
There is that bit when Brian Glover says, Bags Eye Bobby Charlton, which we always quoted at school every time we played football.
Right.
Oh, well, that's ruined it for everyone now.
I think that bit's all right. That's just not a big group.
I think all of it's all right, Frank, in fairness.
It's funny you mentioned that. My wife gave me a new nickname this week.
What did she call you?
Out of the blue, Alfonso. With an S. Not Z, Alfonso, which I think would make sense. All right, Alfonso. What the...
I think it's good there's still new things happening in your marriage.
That's it. That's all.
That's what...
That's the
I mean,
only
I haven't been surprised since the 90s.
Did she call you that after one of your grapples, then, with your friend?
Okay, and now to the adverts.
You're listening to Frank Skinner's podcast from Absolute Radio.
This is Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio with Emily Dean and Alan Cochrane. Text the show on 81215. Follow the show on Twitter at Frank on the Radio.
That's lovely.
Email the show by the Absolute Radio website. I almost died. There was a second there I thought I was going to die.
Oh, and us laughing too.
Yeah, what about that?
Brutal.
That would have been good when that was played
It's what he would have wanted, I'd be saying.
Our thoughts with his family.
Frank, stop doing that. We've had a text in.
Okay.
It's about the frogs.
People are racing to get me a drink.
Right, 531.
The support on this show, it's just gone.
Hi, Frank. In regards to the frog, do you remember we discussed the frog? Frank put a picture of it up on the website.
The monster frog, yeah.
Yeah, the monster
frog. Frank found a frog.
Yes.
There we go. Sentence for anyone struggling with the letter F.
And it was covered in spawn. Hi, Frank. In regards to the frog, it's just decomposing, similar to when you see a dead fish floating and they have that white coating over them. Except the frog probably died amongst the spawn, and as it is static, it got caught up in the white coating over the frog. I hope this helps your fear of it. Lol.
Lol.
Do you think that's someone called Lawrence? That they're saying lol?
They're not going to be laughing out loud at the dead frog.
Maybe they've done a David
up.
Cameron. They think it's lots of love.
It's marvellous, though, that the dead frog and new life in the frog world have become entangled together. Like Beckett's We Give Birth Astride the Grave. Yes. Absolute Radio. Where real music matters.
We've also had a text. I don't normally read out praise, but this one's got a sting in its tail for you, so I think there's a certain exclusion. Great show, first-time listener, but thought you were Jasper Carrot. Sorry, Frank.
That's all right. In a way, I was Jasper Carrot.
Were you?
Surprisingly, we've had no one text in our text in this morning, which was which materials does David Hockney use?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
we've only got a ruler and masking tape so far. I feel we're underselling him.
I like the idea of what have you finally got round to, because I watch Kes, but nobody's getting in that.
Maybe Danny Baker's doing the same texting.
Oh, yeah.
But there's also a story this week. It's not just you being mistaken for Jasper Carrot. Birmingham, in the Midlands of England, was mistaken for Birmingham, Alabama.
Yes.
By
yes.
I'm going to say it, a silly couple that were in the media.
Oh, hold it.
What?
Richella and Ben.
Yes.
Richella and
Ben.
How is it?
That's their names.
And so they turned up to Birmingham Midlands Airport, Birmingham, UK, thinking, all right, let's have our flight to Vegas, whee! And they were told, no, this is from Birmingham, America, and they were like, where? And it was all wrong. So they had to go to Amsterdam and no refund. And there's some.
When you say they had to go to Amsterdam,
did they go to Amsterdam then?
That's what they did instead.
I bet that was his idea. Let's not go into that.
Oh, well, but that's quite
filthy creep.
It sounds. She said that she saved for 2 years to get to Las Vegas, so they didn't make it. So they just on the spur of the moment went to Amsterdam.
I think they must have been offered flights, or were they just? Maybe they got offered cheap flights to Amsterdam on the day.
You know, there's a happy ending. Do you know there's a happy ending to this story?
No.
Virgin Holidays have offered to fly them out free of charge.
No.
To Las Vegas. I think they've.
You know what I liked about you telling us that? Daisy, the producer, was nodding with her arms folded.
Yeah.
This news just in.
Yeah. Thanks for telling us before we went on air.
I don't. I don't like that, because I think they made the mistake, and then they publicised the mistake.
Oh, no, but it's nice, because imagine you're dreaming of that holiday. You know,
Las Vegas.
Oh, Las Vegas, you'll be the death of me.
Why do people go to Las Vegas?
I like it.
Well, hold your high horses.
Okay.
Why do people go to Las Vegas for a romantic break? It's like you just sit there putting money into slot machines. I mean, what do people do there? Is it gambling? Is that all they do?
I don't know, but I love just standing there putting money into slot machines. I am one of the people who gets a bucket and just does it and does it and does it.
Because you know I've got a phobia about gambling.
Have you?
Mm.
Well, it's probably not great. I like this story, though.
I've got one about gambling.
This story was about some lambs just
gambolling
around
my back. You know, if they'd listened to Little Richard, they would never have made that mistake.
Why is that?
Because he said,
"Going back to Birmingham, way down in Alabama."
It's absolutely clear where it is. It's way down in Alabama.
He's made it very clear.
He's in a bit of a rush into the last syllable.
My favourite thing about this story is it's the ultimate what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas story, isn't it? They didn't go. It did stay.
Oh, but why is Little Richard hating on the A's? I don't like that. Alabama.
Well, because he wants to rhyme Birmingham with Alabama.
There's all things we want, but we can't have them in this life.
He could have gone Birmingham, and then with Alabama, but he didn't do that. I don't argue with Little Richard, not, no, never. Oh, he's good. I love Little Richard. I know him so well. For short, I call him... Oh, here we go.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
Where were we?
We were talking about
Birmingham, Alabama.
We should say off air, Frank was a real apologist for this couple.
Mm-hmm.
He was a silly Billy apologist.
I think it's because they're from Birmingham. People think,
you're defending them.
It's really funny because, you know, people from Birmingham are stupid. They don't know the difference between their own city and another one. Ha-ha, Brummies. And that's why we have them on adverts saying, we want to be together and all that stuff.
When did all this happen?
It's true. It's a general sense that people from Birmingham are a bit stupid. And you know what? How come we were the centre of the Industrial Revolution?
I'm at Midlands Power. Yes. I was telling you only today that I have a new girl working at InStyle who's exceptionally beautiful in every... I mean, breathtakingly so. And I waited for her to open her mouth and thought she'll be, oh, hi, yeah. And she went, all right, then. And I immediately warmed to her more. That's Georgia.
Nice.
She's lovely.
She's probably adopted that accent just to do well in fashion.
Patrick has said, surely for the purposes of a rhyme, Little Richard should have said, way down in Birmingham, 50 miles from Nottingham.
If he'd been singing about that one.
Yeah.
But then Little Richard would have made a mistake. Oh, Little Richard. Anyway. I saw him live once. He just took all his clothes off on stage.
You didn't really see him live, did you?
He just got the band playing. And he's at Wembley Stadium. He just started taking his clothes off and throwing it. In the end, he just got booed off.
Frank, you know you framed your charcoals earlier?
Yes.
Not a euphemism at all.
They're still a little bit uncomfortable. Yeah.
Dean, we posted the picture on social media.
Oh, yeah.
Dean Burt says, badly framed, dude. Get it float mounted.
Float mounted?
Oh, I love a float
mount. On a milk truck?
I love a float mount.
What is a float mount?
Well, it's hard to explain to people like you. I mean, you get a mount and you put it on top of the mount and there's a gap. What it means is there's a gap so you don't destroy the artwork in any way between the glass and the work of art. Do you see what I mean? Possibly 3 inches.
Well, you know, I can experiment. I imagine I'll be framing at least 2 to 5 pieces of art every week, so I've got time to experiment.
Oh, you've got a lot of wall space.
Oh, I've got loads of wall space.
Oh, I forget you've got properties.
Ow, what if he gets appreciated as an incredible artistic genius after he dies?
Yeah,
actually, yeah. You got any spare charcoal?
I don't know if I like the chronology on that story. So what I do now, I've started carrying a small sketch pad with me wherever I go.
Oh.
It's great.
You used to have one for writing jokes, did you?
I might get a beret.
Gone on to...
I draw jokes now. It's the future.
Absolute Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I did mock that couple for making that mistake. I called them silly, but I'm not immune to mistakes myself. I was once having a wardrobe clear out, and I went to throw out some trainers that I bought from TK Maxx, and realised that one was a size 9 and one was a size 11. And I'd been wearing them for years.
Really? You're kidding?
I'd been wearing them for years and always felt like, God, this right foot's a bit odd in these shoes, and it turned out it was a size and a half too big.
Well, how did that happen?
Because I'm stupid, I think. Is the answer. So I'm saying I'm not in a glass house throwing stones. I'm at least as stupid as this couple.
Yeah.
Well, then you are in a glass house throwing stones.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So stupid I got that wrong.
What about when... the lovely thing about this story is that she did it as a surprise for the boyfriend.
She's Irish, we should say.
Should we?
No, because
I don't think we should say that.
No, we should, because you were saying it was anti-Birmingham, and I'm pointing out that he's from Birmingham. No, I'm saying let's point out that it's not anti-Birmingham. Frank's
taking off quite a rustling coat.
Outside, on the car park. No.
Frank's coat's made of paper, ladies and gentlemen, if you can hear it.
It's gone a bit, you can leave your hat on.
Yeah, I think they've played down the fact she's Irish.
No, I'm just saying they're not
do it. They wouldn't dare.
Birminghams.
They wouldn't dare play it that way with an Irish couple, but a Birmingham couple, of course.
Oh, come on. Yeah, I mean, the good news is, what else do you want? You've got an airport now.
She saved up.
That's nice, you got an airport. When was that, then?
I
didn't know you had an airport.
Ages.
Oh, has it?
Oh, God, yes.
What, when you were born? Was it there?
I don't know if there were airports then. I think that flight was still in its infancy. We'd just lost Amelia Earhart.
Yeah.
I really like this fact the Virgin Holidays have helped them out. It reminds me, do people still do this? People used to say, oh, I bought some sausage and beans, and there was no sausage in it, so I wrote to Heinz.
Oh, yeah.
And then I got this massive box come through with like 50... It used to be like the dream.
Yes.
People would get like 20 tins of beans come through the post. Oh, man.
Yeah.
Now I think,
story, wasn't it?
So what? But then it was
we did it once, encouraged by my mother. My sister and I wrote off to, I don't think I should name them, should I? A soup manufacturer. And because we found a maggot in some soup.
Wow.
And they sent us voucher for about £2.50.
Oh.
£2? That's a bit of a letdown, isn't it?
I'll say.
Oh, no, I'd want a bit more than that. Thank you very much for asking. That used to be my dream. I might do it. If I found a maggot...
You've got money, though.
If I found a maggot in soup, I thought, I can't be bothered. I'll write an email.
Yeah.
Just have it.
Yeah, I'd eat it.
Bit of protein.
Wouldn't bother me. I've eaten locusts.
Have you?
Yeah.
When did you eat them, then?
Well, it was very windy.
It was a plague.
It's very windy, and I was singing opera in Afghanistan. And I swallowed about 4. I was in the Figaro. No, I ate them at... There's a restaurant called Archipelago.
Oh.
I had deep-fried locust and deep-fried scorpion.
Oh.
Again, dull. Essentially dull.
Frank, what's worse, that story about you eating deep-fried locust or the ballet anecdote? Do you remember the ballet anecdote?
I remember the ballet.
The ballet link.
No, I think the ballet link still has it. But,
what did you say in the ballet link?
I think it's so dull.
Blah, 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 blah,
I stopped listening after a bit. Ballet,
people still talk about the ballet link, you know.
Do they? Well, now they'll be talking about my archipelago anecdote. The things I'm still going on about. The worse the link, the longer I string it out. In the dream that eventually I'll chip my way through the impenetrable quartz and find some precious stones. Never happens.
Skinner, Dean and Cochrane. Together, The Frank Skinner Show.
Absolute Radio.
Oh, what's that Iggy Pop feat David Bowie one? That's good, isn't it?
Is it listed as feet?
Oh, it might not be.
I don't know if they did feet in those days. No. I'm eating toast, so I apologise.
Do you want me to read you a text that we've had in, just so that you can finish chewing your toast?
Yeah.
I like Tiny Temper, feet Zara Larsson.
Nice.
Yeah.
Morning, Frank. Morning, Frank, Emily and Alan. I once rang a porridge manufacturer to tell them my porridge tasted musty. They sent me vouchers for 2 free boxes, saved me £6. That's the sort of story we like to hear, isn't it?
Yeah.
Also, it's quite subjective as well. Yeah. Nothing was wrong with the porridge. I mean, all porridge is... What were you expecting it to taste of? Ambrosia?
No, I think I've had musty porridge.
You're eating on the radio. You're really audibly eating.
Frank, you can't just eat toast on the radio. You are... Just lied, barefaced. That's a new series, Bear Grylls is in, Barefaced.
Yeah? What would that be about?
That would be,
climbing rock faces.
Oh, lovely.
Very good.
I got a 40p voucher, needless to say this isn't from me, 740. I got a 40p voucher in 1977. Frank, stop chewing that toast.
It's gone.
Okay. When my Twix was toffeeless. I have since spent it on further confectionery. Now, that's
sensible.
That's Ian Angle, so I always worry there'll be a pun in there somewhere.
No, there's no joke in there.
But
I think that's just an anecdote. Maybe he's moved from...
many a slip Twix.
Oh,
I think he might be moving like many of the punning comedians do. He might just be moving on to anecdotes.
Oh, that's funny. I wonder if Frank will consider doing that.
Tim Vine won't do that, will he?
Don't think so.
No.
What about that for an opener?
I'm waiting for the rest of it.
I was thinking about when on the idea of the surprise holiday, when I booked a lighthouse. Remember that for my girlfriend? Did I tell you about that?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Wasn't there terrible music in it or something?
She had claustrophobia.
Oh, dear.
So she said, I can't sleep in here. So we had to open the roof so she could get some air. And then we discovered at 10 o'clock, I assumed it was a defunct lighthouse. At 10 o'clock, the light came on. I mean, it wasn't even that we slept with the light on. We slept with the light on, and then the light off, and then the light on, and then the light off. So it was... it was very... You know when they say, warn you about flash photography?
Yes.
If there was a warning, there's a very, very slow flashing going on in this. Yeah, so that was how we slept all night. There she was, then it was darkness, there she was. And it's complete darkness. You know the darkness that you get just after light?
Oh, pitch black, yeah.
So it was extreme in its contrasts, like so many of our holidays.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I'll tell you... No, after you.
No.
Come on.
Born a gentleman.
After you, Claude.
I want to talk about the sheepdog this week. This was my favourite story of the week.
Ah.
It's an animal story, which is quite Trevor McDonald of us to do it in the final furlong.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
However, it's worth it because it's about a dog who found its way home, and I love that. He was a sheepdog. He escaped from Cockermouth. He was from Aberystwyth originally. He was sent away to work on a farm, I believe, which sounds a bit Hunger Games.
They said it was a trial, is what they said, which I loved, as it's a sheepdog.
Trial?
Yeah.
It's a bit Hunger Games, I mean...
Yeah, I think it was like a 3-week trial, see how it goes, so they didn't have to commit to anything with... what was he called, this dog?
And then he just turned up like Peter Odemwingie.
Yes, exactly.
Hero. P-E-R-O. That's the name of the dog.
So... He went to Cockermouth, didn't like it there, so he made I believe it was a
240-mile journey.
240 miles, but was it 20 days it took him? Something like that.
Unfortunately, in Cockermouth, he was training to be a guide dog for the blind, so he dragged some poor bloke halfway across the country. They went down motorway.
12 days, Frank.
Hard shoulders and all sorts. The bloke just shouting heel forlornly into the night. I mean, you think it's a happy story, I think it's terrible. They call it the bloke had got no heels left on his shoes, the blind bloke. He was trying to put the brakes on, the dog was just going... It turned out it wasn't even their dog, they could just smell sausage. He could smell sausages cooking in the house. Anyway.
It's incredible, though, really.
I agree that it's incredible.
I like it.
Do you not believe it?
No.
Don't you?
Tell me why.
Because Ernie Weston, who lived next door to us, took our dog to West Bromwich for a walk.
Okay, are you basing your incredulity on this, Ernie Weston?
Well, hold on, there's pluses and minuses. So he was there. West Bromwich was about 3 miles away, I'd say. He met a bloke who he knew who said, do you want to lift home? Now, a lift in those days was a tremendous luxury. So he said, oh, yeah, definitely.
Toilet was.
And the bloke said, I don't want the dog in the car. He said, OK, then. So he just left him there.
It's a different time, isn't it?
And the old man said, where's Tiny?
Yeah.
And he said, well, I got offered a lift. So we thought we'd never see the dog again. And he returned.
Oh.
Took him about a week. That was 3 miles.
Does that not just mean that Tiny was a less good return dog than Perro?
He was just less sophisticated, Frank, than Perro.
Perro was a pretty awesome sheepdog.
I believe Perro did it.
Do you?
Yeah, I
do.
think he did.
Was he played by David Suchet?
They aren't sure. They said some of us believe he walked it and others can't believe he achieved such a task.
I can't believe he achieved it. I think they dropped him off in Cockermouth, not realising his lead was caught in their back bumper. They dragged him all the way back.
But what would they get
They said
out
he
of
had
the lie?
he had no fur down one side.
What did they get out of the lie?
Well,
Do you think they got paid for the story?
Is it not fair to say? No, I don't think that.
Just establishing what level of deceit we're insinuating here.
Well, I think it's just another sheepdog turned up, and they all look the same.
But you don't think that's the real Perro?
No, he's microchipped. It's the real Perro.
Have they checked the microchip?
They've checked his paw prints.
They haven't
looked
checked
at his
any
papers.
of that. A sheepdog's turned up, and
He had a little dog
yes,
passport.
I bet it's Perro. He had nothing.
Definitely Perro.
He had nothing. He had one eye right blind bloke holding on for grim life.
I think they were first alerted to the fact that he'd come back. They opened the curtains and every sheep in between Cockermouth and their house was on the horizon.
Exactly. What if he'd rounded them all up? That would have been brilliant. They wouldn't have been in the papers then.
Sean, there's 15,000 sheep in the garden.
Yeah.
Oh,
Shall I phone the Daily Mail? No, phone the abattoir. We're rich, I tell you.
Bear Grylls making a sleeping bag out of it all.
Sheep Grills is the local survival bloke.
Absolute Radio.
Frank Skinner on Absolute Radio.
I wondered if it was time to perhaps visit Email Corner. We haven't been there for many
late in the day, but we can.
I don't know, a quick
by gun Mail Corner. That's me.
There'll be no regional stereotyping on this show.
Not for a second.
Not on my watch.
No, from Birmingham, Alabama. Hi all, I was taking my wife to work on Tuesday morning and accidentally knocked the radio in the car onto Radio 1 to hear Grimmy, you know Nick Grimshaw, talking about how bored he is of Kim Kardashian. Apparently she had posted some new selfies. Grimmy announced that he was banning mention of her name from the show and that every time Kim's name is mentioned from now on, an alarm would sound. He asked a caller to test this. No sooner had she uttered the words Kim Kardashian than the alarm sounded, but it wasn't just any alarm. It was, in fact, the A.E. Houseman alarm.
OMG.
Wow.
It continues, has Grimmy been listening to your lovely show and thought, I'm having that? Praise deleted from Rich.
Well, what do you make of this, Frank?
It makes me happy that if someone said, what's the difference between your show and Nick Grimshaw's, I can now say, well, we've got an alarm based on a poet from the early 20th century, and he's got a Kim Kardashian one. It's all there, isn't it?
It's all there.
I'd like to think
Don't get me wrong, horses for courses.
Mm-hmm.
What about that time I went to a football match with Simon Mayo?
Did you?
Oh, I love this anecdote.
And
so far, so radio.
Yeah.
And
what happened?
I was telling him that I found someone who had an answer phone. It was I made it all up. And I said, I phoned up and their answer phone message was, who are you? Who are you? And I left a message saying, you're supposed to be at home. And that was it.
Funny. I like that joke. It's a funny joke.
Thanks. And next time I heard his show, whenever people rang in, he went, who are you? Who are you?
He didn't.
Oh, wow.
There's very little integrity in the radio.
Material like
he's
that.
having that.
He was having that. It's as simple as that.
Oh, you can't have that, people.
That's your trouble, isn't it? It's your trouble. Everything you say, people just have it.
Hellman's mayonnaise took him to court.
No.
Yeah.
For the Mayo thing.
For the Mayo thing, yeah. hate it. They were furious about it.
Until then, he was called Simon Salad Cream, wasn't he? And
He
then
was.
He just thought, I'm having that.
It was hyphenated. He was one of the Berkshire salad creams.
Oh, was he?
Mm.
You've got an itchy arm there, Frank. You're
have
really
got an itchy
Think of
scratching
your
at
own
that.
jokes, people.
Really scratching at that.
Think of your own jokes, people.
Yeah.
Yeah, so, and he did that for ages. He kept it going. I mean, don't get me wrong, he's a perfectly nice chap, I suppose. You know, if you just can't come up with your own stuff. Desperate times we live in. Nevertheless...
Lovely way to end the show.
Yeah.
Yeah, with a grudge from about 15, 20 years ago or
Very
something.
unlike Frank.
So what's the point of having a grudge if you can't let it marinate?
Oh, good.
Well, I'm going down to Birmingham. Gonna see West Bromwich play West Ham.
Give my love to the airport. Still so chuffed you've got one.
I don't pass the airport. It's not on my route.
Okay.
So thanks for listening this morning. I haven't been at my best. I'll be straight with you. But you know,
Grimmy wouldn't say that,
light
Frank.
and dark. Like, even Homer nods, as they say in The Simpsons. So, if the good Lord spares us and the creeks don't rise, we'll be back again this time next week. Now, get out.
The Frank Skinner Show on Absolute Radio. Back Saturday morning from 8. Tune in live for the full Frank experience.
Absolute Radio.